Do it! Wow, that's loud. Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it. Make your dreams come true. Just do it. Some people dream success. Well, you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. Hit my symbol. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit. And you're not going to stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it. Just do it. Yes, you can. Just do it. If you're tired of starting over. All right. Close enough. Thank you, Shia. We are now in a stream mindset. Ooh, look at that glare. Let's see that flex. Do it. Yeah. All right, we're going to be drumming today. We're going to be using some of the free resources on my website, jaredoleary.com/drum. There's 1,800 hours of free drumming play-alongs, and I'm going to refine my left-hand technique while also just kind of warming up my right hand because it's that injury. I don't want to overdo it, which I talked about yesterday. Okay, so we are going to warm up, and let's see here. Actually, so I know what I want to work on for the thing today. I'm going to do the same thing as yesterday, but as double stops. But I wasn't sure what I want to warm up with. Haven't thought about that yet. There's too many options. Let's do the good old classic stick control, but we're going to do the advanced version with the filler. Turn up the volume. Jam, pump it up. Okay, now, in every one of the play-longs, if you go down into the description, you can jump to a specific BPM. So we're just going to do a nice leisurely 80. Here we go. Let me just double check something real quick. And we're good. All right. Yeah, my hands feel off, but I mean, that's what happens when you don't drum from an injury. That's okay. Still warming up. Oops, started playing a different line. Okay. Yeah, definitely need to give it a nice stretch and massage today. Bad attack. Talking, wasn't paying attention to the tap off. Slurred out. Okay, let's stop there, and we'll do the stretch and massage now. Stop. Not stopping. It's got a mind of its own. Oh no. Move this. There. So I don't hit it with the mic. Okay, so we're gonna stretch and massage now that we got the blood flowing a little bit. And, yeah, you can still see a little bit of the bruise from the vein popping. But, yeah. We'll see how it does today. First time drumming with that hand in a couple weeks. So first thing I like to do is I hold my sticks so that my palms are facing up. And then you pull in, and you pull in, and then you push out. This is a weird stretch, but it's a good stretch. Highly recommend. Hold it here for a wee bit, and then go back out the way that you came. Now, if you do traditional grip, rotate to one end of the extreme, and then rotate to the other end and hold it there. So do that for 20, 30 seconds-ish. But I don't do traditional anymore, so I'm not going to do that. Which is why I'm refining my left-hand technique, because I spent all the years doing this, and now I play like this. So, whoops. Okay, now what I'm going to do is stretch the underside of the forearm. So you could do it one at a time like this. Ooh, that feels great. You could do it on the wall like I did yesterday. The lower you go, the deeper the stretch. Or you could do it on your drums. I'm going to do it. Yeah. Don't put all your weight into it. You don't want to tear stuff. Bum, 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 bum. This is a good stretch. Okay, now I'm going to stretch the top side of the forearm. You could do it like this, one at a time. You could do it on the wall. The higher you go, the deeper the stretch. You could do it on your legs, or you could do it on the drums. I'm going to do it here. The angle slightly off. All right. Now you could do stretching each finger one at a time, but I like to do it twice as fast, so I do thumb to thumb. Otherwise, it takes forever. So after I do a stretch routine, I then do a massage routine, and then I actually get into refining my playing. And in this case, again, I'm refining my left hand technique, trying to get it to match my right hand technique. Make up for all those years of traditional grip. Or hold, as some people would call it. Some people get really hung up on wording. I get that it influences, like, what you do, your actions and whatnot. Like, if you think of a grip, then you're like, oh, I have to hold on to it. But a hold might be more gentle, but some people call it a cradle. So you're just kind of cradling in your hand. To each their own. Sometimes we think about words a little too much. You can have a relaxed grip. You had some pain in your wrist. Maybe it's the height of my practice pad. I think it's sitting too high. Interesting. Are you playing match or traditional? Now I'm going to massage. So I'm doing thumb on top and fingers underneath. I ask because if it's traditional, then it'd be interesting to know which hand it is. But if it's match grip, then it'd be interesting to know if it's only one wrist that's got the pain and not the other. That would be interesting. Then you'll need to, like, figure out why. Match grip, yeah. So if it's one wrist that's the problem, then you need to think of, okay, well, what's going on with that? So here's one way you can kind of identify, like, what's going on with wrist pain. So if it's your left hand, my guess is what you could do is, let me back up. So one way that you can actually like figure out what is going on with like pain when you're drumming is to intentionally squeeze hard with different fingers. If you go thumb to index finger, thumb to middle, ring, pinky, etc., and see which one of those causes pain in the wrist. Because when you're activating this, it's going to tighten up that specific area, and you'll notice that it tightens up different spots depending on what finger is being squeezed the most. When you find the finger that is causing the most pain, then you can go, oh, I need to relax my middle and, I don't know, thumb, or my thumb and my index finger, or it might be multiple fingers, etc. Another thing that you can do is, like, obviously do the stretching, massaging routine that I'm doing. But like you were mentioning, the ergonomics of it, if you have your drum too high, then this could cause some pain because you're going to have a bent wrist already. What I actually like to do is have my drums low and ideally at a tilt forward. Now, why would I want my drums tilted forward? Well, the reason why, and this is what I do when I do concert snare stuff, is because the wrist, if you are playing on a flat drum, is already bent, and you're not going to get the full volume that you could if you could move the wrist a couple inches lower with the stick. So if I'm playing here versus playing right here, that's a whole lot more power that I could get out of my hands. So what I actually do when I'm doing concert snare in particular is have my sticks so that they're at a slight angle downward. And it does make the sound come backwards, but you're getting more power and you're playing more relaxed because your wrist is more natural rather than already at a bent. Then you kind of make up for it already. Like I use bolero tips when I do concert snare because it's all this like playing with these Hardeman hammers. I have way too much chops for it. So way too much power behind it. So yeah, focus not only on the height of the drum, but also check out what your wrist is doing. If your wrist is like bent up, like if you have an angle, and you're like this could cause a lot of stress. If it's flat, that can cause some stress, but if it's got this like nice downward slope, then that can help out. If you're doing marching, however, or even on drum kit, maybe you can't angle your drums a specific way, then flat is okay. You'll be all right in the long run, but for me, if you can adjust the angle of the drum, then I highly recommend doing so. But again, to each their own. There's many different approaches to it. Another thing that you can do, I mentioned yesterday for the different pain, is to do the rice method. So rest is the R, I is the ice, and then C is compression, and then E is elevate. So like lay with your arms up in the air for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, whatever, etc. So they're all different things that you can do whenever you are like squeeze. You felt it when you squeeze your thumb and index finger? Okay, yeah. So then that is where you want to focus when you're actually practicing is how can I provide more support with the other fingers and less tension with the index finger or the thumb in particular. So whenever you do that, you've identified which of the fingers is the culprit. And so you need to look at it when you are practicing to try and figure out, okay, where am I noticing that it is tightest? Is it when I'm doing accent taps? Is it when I'm doing flams or diddles or whatever? So once you identify the pain, which fingers it is, then you got to figure out, well, what is the source of the pain? Is it when you're playing slow? Are you playing too powerful? Is it when you're playing too fast, etc.? And then ideally slow things down and refine the technique, which is what I'm going to be doing here in a little bit to try and relax things. That's the different approaches that I've used with the different injuries I've had over the years. I had way more injuries when I was younger, and the injury that I'm recovering from right now is just because of like donating platelets. Like it had nothing to do with drumming or working out or anything like that. It's just the needle went through the vein and out the other side, which it shouldn't have. So I had to let it rest so it wouldn't turn into a collapse vein. But on that note, donate blood, donate platelets. It's helpful. Like, they're in desperate need, at least here in United States. There's platelet shortages and whatnot. So I try and go every 3 weeks or so to try and donate. And that's the first time that it's like really left me out of commission. Had a minor one at the very end of donating platelets. The very first time I did it, like 2 years ago, something like that. But okay. After you massage the forearms, you can kind of loosen that up. Then what I do is you kind of massage the back of the hands, and the thumb is massaging the palms. You're very welcome. Glad I can help in some way. Injuries are no fun. Prevents you from doing the things you want to do, the things that you enjoy. But can kind of treat things as seasons. Like, well, this is a season to focus on something else. Come back to this. Maybe I'll drum less and do something else more. Like last week, I worked on other stuff more. I did more gaming, more video editing. Although I kind of like do video editing pretty much daily. Sometimes for several hours. That is the grind, folks. Creating some scripts for some upcoming content. And I'm refining one of the videos that I made previously. And it's like a third the length and just as content rich. It's great. It's fun to see this progress that I made. Like, I've made so many videos. Almost 2,000 gaming shorts, just little excerpts. And if you go back and look at the first one, or even like a year ago, and watch it, like, it's night and day. My pacing is so much better. It's just, yeah, I don't know. It's cool. We'll see what it looks like in 5 years and 10 years, etc. Anyways, we've stretched, we've massaged. Now, we're going to play a little bit faster. Not too fast, because again, I don't want to injure myself. And then, we're going to refine the left-hand technique. Yes, please do that. There's a reason why I do it every stream. I learned the hard way. I need to do. Ew. Yeah, it's interesting. My hands still feel wonky. We'll do it at 100, and then I'll actually refine stuff. I don't want to go up to 120, which is where I was leaving it off last time, because I don't want to risk it. 2 weeks of not drumming was 2 long weeks. My dog. Yeah, I couldn't drum for 2 weeks. So I try and donate platelets or blood or whatever every 3 weeks or so. And so when they go into, like, if this is your vein, actually, I'll just do it this way. They're supposed to go in so that the needle will just kind of suck it all out. But unfortunately, they went through it. So that causes what's called a blown vein. So it makes 2 holes on each side of the vein. So when they pull it out, like, creates a weird pressure thing, first of all, which is how they noticed that the vein was blown. And then it started to, like, swell up. But when they pull it out, like, because it's like a larger than usual size, you have all this extra blood just, like, coming out. And so my arm was all, like, purple, like, all right here. So it was no fun, and it was a little bit swollen and just, like, really sore. Like, it actually, like, I can feel the pressure still just moving it like this. And so I could not work out or drum for it's almost 2 weeks. Like, I think it's tomorrow that it would be the 2-week mark. Because if you overexert yourself with a blown vein, it'll create what's called a collapsed vein. And what happens is, like, where it's got the holes at, it'll actually kind of, like, plug it up, and it'll then divert into 2 new locations. So instead of going straight through, it'll be like whoop, and it'll go around, and so it'll create like a messed up circulatory system. So I was trying to avoid that, which is hard because, like, 1, I like the drum, but 2, I also have, like, body dysmorphia. So, like, I'm not a fan when I don't work out. I like to try and make some kind of progress. But yeah, so you'll notice, you might be able to see it a little bit, but my skin tone, it's yellow here. And so the yellow means that it's actually healing, but you can see it from, like, here to here, maybe. And there's still a little bit of the purple right down there, but it's getting better. So, might be TMI, but that's why I couldn't drum. So, as much as I wanted to, I did not want to risk it. We are now going to go back to here on my website, and we're going to work on one of the 700 grid variations. There's 300 triplet and 410 of 16th note. And we're going to do this one, and we're doing diddle after an accent. But I'm going to do it as double stops. Where be ye? Diddle after. Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, it's good. It's been slow, but progress. So the fact that it's yellow now instead of purple and whatnot, that's progress. We're doing good. And the fact that I'm able to drum right now, hopefully tomorrow or Thursday I'll be able to do more calisthenics. Stay tuned. Till then, it's just cardio only. So I'm trying to refine the left. Okay, we survived. So I'm trying to get the fingers to be in the same position, make it so they have equal pressure on each one of the pads of the fingers, so that the right and left match. Whoops. You get it?
I did. I got it real good.
Good. Yeah, so Simon, to your point, like, you should be able to play most of what you do without even your, like, finger and thumb on the sticks. So, like, you just get more control if you have all 5 of your fingers, assuming you have 5, on your stick. So, I can... And that's without these 2 fingers on. Doesn't sound as great, but they should be there for support, and more importantly, you should be able to wrist it. For the majority of it. So for me, it's all about wrist, and if the wrist is controlling it, then you don't need to worry about the fingers as much. They're just there to kind of like guide the stick, guide the rebound, and make it so that it's more controlled, but the wrist is the primary activator. And the reason for that is because I am using a floppy wrist as opposed to if you have a straight wrist, that means your finger, your index and your thumb is too tight, so then your wrist can't move. So my guess is when your left hand in particular is like playing 16th notes, it's probably staying straight as opposed to like this where it's flopping up and down, and that's a good thing. That as opposed to this. If you're doing this where you're squeezing the index and the thumb, then your wrist cannot bend. But if you relax that, have less pressure there, and just kind of gently hold it there, then your wrist is able to move. So that's the technique that I go for. But again, there's a billion ways to play, so there's affordances and constraints for all of them. So for this, you can't play as fast as if you use a finger technique or like a finger French, etc. But you can still play really fast this way. It's just more relaxed than if you use finger only, etc. But to each their own. Also, you get more power if you do wrist. A little bit of full forearm, like a Muller approach, Jim Chapin, etc. Anyways, hopefully that helps. Ew. So slow. You can do it. Could go make some coffee. And by the way, just to clarify, I use primarily wrist technique, so it's mainly that. So my technique is mainly wrist. However, I use finger if I'm playing really, really fast. So it's not like you have to choose one or the other. You can combine them. Like I even have a little bit of a rotary motion with my match grip from rotary French timpani. And I apply that into my rudimental stuff, and it makes it so there's more power and it's faster. So many ways to play. Somewhere along the way, I picked up the wrong idea that the index and thumb should be tight on... Oh, well, yeah, that's because most people play that way. It doesn't mean it's right, though. No offense to other people, but I was taught this way, and then I got early signs of carpal tunnel. I got the popped vein. It was on my left arm, right here. I got some tendonitis. Like, it was just all really bad, and I was probably doing the technique that you're using, where you're squeezing really hard, because my instructor first one I had told me that you should be able to put like a small coin on your hand and have it not fall off whenever you're playing. So your wrist should not move at all. So it was all finger technique and whatnot. And oh boy, let me just say, did that lead to all sorts of wrist issues and whatnot. I would not be able to drum right now if I still played with that technique. It wasn't until I started getting lessons from like other people who are like absurdly good as percussionists or as educators. Like I got some one-offs from like judges who would come into town for like the state competition, like Jeff Queen, who's a 4-time world champion snare drummer. So I got 2 lessons from him. I took time off of school and went and just like met him at a park and just like learned about his technique, how he would play. And then I took a day off and just practiced that. And then I showed up the 3rd day for the 2nd lesson and just continued to refine things. And he showed me some like stick tricks, like to do stuff like that, etc. So I learned from many different sources, but yeah, the first thing that I was taught was you squeeze right here and like you literally didn't let your wrist move, etc. But let me tell you, that did not work out for my hands. My hands beg to differ. They're like, nope, that's bad. So nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of people who play this way. It's just not good for your hands. It's not healthy. So some people like in concert snare, they'll like completely take their hands off when they're doing buzzes and whatnot. And I'm just like, whoa, that's no good. Like, you can't play all day, every day if you do it this way. And because, like, in drum corps, like, you literally are playing all day, every single day. Like, you had to find a way to make it so that your hands could have that stamina without completely wrecking themselves. So people who end up playing with this pinch right here or with a lot of finger, it's harder for them to go for as long as you might be able to if you're using more relaxed approach, etc. Like, one of the things that Jeff Queen talked about is, like, you want to be able to just pick up your sticks and kind of go. And depending on what kind of technique you use, you might not be able to do that as readily as some of the others. But many ways to play. Okay. So I try and get that floppy, relaxed technique. Ew. Word from today's sponsor. Water. It's tasty. You should try it. Use code Jared O'Leary in the water shop. Rhythmically off. That's funny. I didn't even know there was like a emoji for that. I'm curious. So, boop. Let's see. Okay, so 18 minutes. Okay, so we're about 5 minutes into that. Okay, cool. Just looking at the timing for it. Whoops. I mean, that was perfect. I'm really trying to make sure my accents aren't too heavy. They're light accents. Just pull them back. Let gravity work. I also want to not use too much forearm on the interior notes. It's okay if it moves naturally, but don't initiate from the elbow like that. Just don't hold them back. Ew. Whoops. Wasn't paying attention. Thought I was on line 2. No, Jared, you're on line 1. Yeah, it was a little flammy on those interior notes. One of the things that I'm trying to focus on is like the angle of the wrists, make sure that they're the same, but also like within the hand, where is the stick resting on here? And so I'm noticing it's slightly different with my left compared to my right. So that's what I'm trying to fix. You can't see that, but that's what I'm doing. Those are good pops. Excellent. I'm still noticing the difference with the left. Trying to work through it unsuccessfully. It's a good one, right? I got another one that's coming out in 2 months. It's kind of like this, but with the other hand for the flam accents. So you play this pattern, and then you add in one note, so a grace note, and then the accent, next note, and then you take off a note, etc. So that one's similar, but it takes this and then turns it into the full flam accent pattern. So it's how you work on flam accents without actually working on flam accents. But putting it on this variation is great, especially when you play it faster. A lot more chop stuff and technique exercise coming out in a couple months. Already scheduled, ready to go. Try to only do one a day, because one time I released 28 videos at once, and I'm like, nope, that just floods the feed. Don't want to annoy people. At least for the drumming stuff. But then again, I released 2 computer science highlights from the podcast and like however many shorts, 6, sometimes 10 a day, but those don't necessarily show up in the feed. Create a lot. I need to focus on the interior notes. How do I want to do that next time? Whoops. Alright, last rep. This is the grind, folks. That's how you get better. Yeah. Alright, so I normally would end and work on some chop stuff at the end of these, but again, I don't want to overdo it. Just kind of testing out the right arm today. First time it's drummed in quite some time. But if anyone's curious, you can find all these play-alongs and literally several hundred more at the link at the top of the screen. There's 1,832 hours of content on here, and I release a new one every single day. So stay tuned for more. By the way, if you're on the YouTube channel, which is totally cool. No, you can't subscribe to myself. The playlists or the home screen is how you find all the content. And the reason why I say that is because I create a bunch of gaming stuff. I also create a bunch of computer science stuff. And so this is just how it keeps everything nice and neatly organized. If you click on the header, then it only shows you the drumming stuff. And you can load it into all the different playlists. So I've got everything nice and neatly organized into there. And if you want to go to the other stuff, you can click on the header and then jump to it and be like, cool, let's see what the gaming content is. And then you can find all of that as well. Speaking of gaming content, I'm going to be playing God of War here in probably about 30-ish minutes. So I'm going to set up for that and get ready. So stay tuned for that. Tomorrow, I think I might venture out and attempt to play drum kit again. So work on some limb independence, something I'm not very good at yet. So stay tuned. We'll get better with that. But thank you for everybody who stopped by. Simon, I hope your wrist pain goes away, and I hope that the little suggestions that I gave assist with that. But if you have more questions, please feel free to ask them in future streams. But I'm going to call it here and get ready to do some God of War here in about 30 minutes. So thank you again, everybody, and I will talk to you later. Goodbye.